Hello, I'm Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and in this episode, I want to really break down the myth of the self-made millionaire or billionaire, or just person in general, right? Now, before I fully get into it and why I've been thinking about this and how it applies to your life, well, I would like to take the opportunity to invite you to subscribe if you haven't already. That way you get all the various lessons and episodes that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and thank you if you already were. It truly does mean a lot to me, as I hope it does to you. So let's get into this. For me, maybe you felt this over, the past year, maybe two, whatever. There's a lot of talk of just this idea of, looking out for yourself and, the idea that people can be self-made, self-made millionaire, self-made billionaire, and so forth. And I look at that because it speaks to a larger aspect of certainly American culture that we just over-index rugged individualism, right? This idea that we can take care of ourselves, we only need ourselves, and the rest is, a non-factor, right? And even kind of insidiously to a degree, self-help pushes this narrative in that way of like, yeah, it's all about the individual and individual, blah, blah, blah. And listen, anything taken to an extreme becomes an evil trait, right? But, so at its core, yes, I do believe that we need to work on ourselves, take responsibility for ourselves, not blame the world for issues and things like that. But we also have to understand that we don't live in a bubble, right? There's an incredible book called Thanks 1,000 by A.J. Jacobs. And it chronicles his journey essentially writing thank you notes to all the people responsible for his morning coffee. And when you really read it and when you really understand it, it just opens up your mind of how interconnected everything really is. And it truly makes you grateful for even just something so seemingly simple and mundane and everyday common as a cup of coffee. Because he thanked the farmers who grew the coffee, the owners of the farm, the truck drivers, the factory workers, the cleaning people of those various places, the truck drivers, the people who painted the lines on the road, right, for the truck drivers. The checkout people when he bought his coffee, right? All these things that go into it. The people that made the coffee maker, right? That's why it's literally thousands of people having something to do with a cup of morning coffee. And when you really break it down in that sense, it's really incredible, right? And so, in that sense, no, that's why I don't believe, I can't. It's just, the evidence is not that, no one is self-made. Just isn't. And so, the reason this is important to me is because we have to dispel that myth. Because so many people starting off, they look to evidence, outside evidence of like, well, this person made it by themselves, so I can too. Right? And that's supposed to be our inspiration. That's half the narrative. That part of the narrative is the hard work, dedication, sacrifice that goes into all of that. And that all applies. Right? But what also must apply is knowing that you truly can't do it by yourself. You need people. And you need to know how to work with people. There's a wonderful book, $1 Million One-Person Businesses by Elaine Pofeld. And I interviewed her years ago when she wrote that book. And even that really showcases like you can be a single business owner, but still you're going to have various ways of interacting with whether, like if it's drop shipping, you're going to need somebody to fulfill those orders, right? That drop shipment. And so forth, right? So we all are interdependent on people. And you need to recognize how to, leverage is the word that I can think of right now, but I don't like it because leverage implies something a little wicked in a sense, manipulative. But regardless, you need to know how to work with people in that sense. And do it from a genuine place. And recognize that you do need people because you can't make it by yourself, whatever that thing is in life. Interestingly enough, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and he asked me why I'm choosing to edit my own movie. And I said, well, number one, it's out of necessity because I don't have the funds to hire somebody else. Number two, I enjoy it thoroughly. And he said, yeah, but don't you want to have that collaboration and see what people bring to it? I said, well, just because I'm editing my own movie doesn't mean I don't collaborate with people. In fact, I would argue that I collaborate more than most when it comes to creative projects. Because certainly every project that I've ever worked on, I get meaningful feedback from people and I take it. Or the stuff that I agree with and can fix, right? I was even saying, listen, with my novel, that was not possible without collaboration. I put a lot of time and effort and money towards that collaboration to make it the best book possible because I wanted that result. Because I knew by myself, siloed off, it wouldn't work. Why do books have dedications? You would think that if nothing else, a book is a solo art. And yet it's not. We all need people. And I can even think of one can think of painting, for example. It's not like you're readily getting feedback necessarily, as an artist, on the things that you paint. But certainly people within life and discussion and friends and things like that affect the way you're going to paint and what you paint, right? So I think it's crucial for us as artists to see the interconnectivity of the world, both from a creative standpoint, as well as just call it a business standpoint, because the alternative it's not that it doesn't work, it doesn't exist. And the myth that we're fed, that yes, it's possible. No, it's not. It's not. It's not doable. The world is so connected in ways that we just can't even really fathom. 1,000 thank you notes just for a single cup of coffee. Right? That's insane. And we have to recognize that and work within that system. And that's how you strive. It's a big concept, and it's a lot to unpack. And it's a lot to think about. But I think just even that simple shift mentally, because I know a lot of people, again, they see, we're pumped these examples of hey, do nothing and make $1 million, right? First off, that's another myth of the quick, easy buck. It just doesn't exist. There's always time and effort and money in varying degrees that have to go into something. But regardless, even if that was the case, we're fed this idea and this fake narrative, and we suffer so much when the reality isn't equal to that fake narrative. And so I want you to, but just the simple notion of understanding this, I think will ease the tension and make you go with the stream as opposed to against the current. And that's the purpose and intention of this episode, is for that just switch in your mind to happen of like, oh, it is a myth of the self-made person. It doesn't exist. We all need help, right? So, let me know your thoughts on this. It's a lot. It's a lot, especially in a short episode like this. But, in the comments section, let's unpack this, ask questions, give your take on it. And I would love to explore this further with you. Likewise, for more direct interaction and direct help on specifics in your life, I have a Patreon page, patreon.com/PhilSvitek. That's where we really can address the nitty-gritty of stuff, depending on, in various ways, depending on the level of support tier that you're at. Also, lastly, before I head out, I would like to also plug the various things that I've created. My books, movies, merchandise, and all that. It's in the description box. It would mean the world to me if you at least check them out, because by getting to create that, it helps inform the lessons that I do here, and that way I can deliver the best stuff, because I'm not just talking about it, I'm actually creating it, right? That's the idea. Anyway, I appreciate you as always, and hope to see you next time.